Cafè. This is Matteo speaking, alongside my mates, fellows, friends, and colleagues, Rudencio and Kevin. Cheers,
Hi.
guys. Say
Cheers.
hi. Here we are back into
Cheers.
another episode, dealing with a new topic, focusing on being an emerging artist in 2022. In this recent period, being an emerging artist, starting a musical career, requires to be aware of the enormous amount of technologies, of tools, of platforms that may help you, drive your path into your musical career. We, as youBEAT, has had the chance to speak a lot in our latest articles about this. Here we are today to speak about one particular platform, having the chance to host a friend and the co-founder of this platform called LabelRadar, Mr. Ed Brew from the UK, co-founder of
Please
LabelRadar. Here we
welcome.
are. Welcome. Ed
Hey
Brew.
gang,
How
Nice
are
to meet
you?
you,
Hey.
Ed.
Hi.
very well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything is
everything's
fine.
okay. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure
Really a
to be
pleasure to have you
here.
here.
Really appreciate you guys having me on and looking forward to having a chat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely would like to meet you at EMS this year because I saw you were there, but I don't have the chance. So we are so happy to have you here today. And definitely, we were talking about your work on LabelRadar, and we didn't talk about this again for now. That this year in 2022, LabelRadar entered another big family, that is the Beatport family. And so also congrats for this goal.
Congratulations, Ed.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's kind of like the baby has grown up and gone off to college now. So
That's
looking forward
fine.
to seeing how it fares in kind of this new chapter.
Yeah, we were just, in fact, introducing what LabelRadar is. Born 4 years ago in 2018 as a platform that, in some sort of way, revolutionized the demo submission policy, demo submission way, to simplify it for emerging artists, from artists, being it singer, producers, songwriters, whoever, they would like to make a living start to make a living from their creativity.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we will start to introduce it as the platform, and spending a few times even to say that we spend at least one night per week searching, because we would like to introduce as well how it works in a strict sense. An artist can upload a track or 60 seconds of a track, and choose to show it, to send it to promoters like we are as youBEAT, or even to record label that he or she choose to send it. It may be extremely helpful, especially in the first steps at the beginning of a musical career. This is an extremely important tool, one of the most remarkable in nowadays, because it really helps. Yeah, in fact, we are extremely glad as youBEAT for what you've done so far, and congratulations once again for this new step, this new episode of the LabelRadar path, being acquired, being part now of Beatport family. Let's remind that you are now you are the co-founder, of course, of LabelRadar, but now you are the director of business development. Am I right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, in Beatport. So this is a huge step also as well for your career, I think.
Definitely, yeah. It's been a roller coaster journey full of ups and downs to get to that acquisition point, and I'm just very grateful that I had the LabelRadar team that we did have to do that journey. It was 4 co-founders initially. 2 were technical, 2 were non-technical. So we had Juan and Seba Ferreras, who are brothers, who were the technical co-founders, and they helped build the platform and really kind of flesh out that brand and that experience to what it is. And then you had myself and Derek Clark, the other co-founder, and we were kind of the non-technical side, but we were both very much entrenched in the artist and label world. So we knew what the headaches were, how best to solve them. And yeah, just really tackled this problem head on together.
Yeah, in fact, about your team, this is one of the questions we would like to ask you in this chat, in this meeting, because it concerns your team. So the team of curators you have on LabelRadar, and how many curators are in LabelRadar, and how it works to review songs, to even monetize, some sort of way.
Sure. Yeah, and actually, before we get on to that, I just want to shout out our developer as well, Ariel, who he wasn't one of the co-founders, but he was with us from very, very early doors and helped kind of make sure that we could actually build what it was that we were envisioning. So yeah, shout out to him quickly as well. But yeah, in in terms of the platform users themselves, so there's around 135,000 artists on the platform, around 1,500 labels and promoters like yourselves. And that's all grown completely organically. So we've never actually spent on advertising and marketing ourselves. It's all been kind of our existing network of relationships, word of mouth. And then there's kind of some natural growth that comes just by virtue of how we have set up the platform itself as well.
It's extremely interesting, a huge amount of artists and creators and record labels, which is somehow embodies the power of LabelRadar, which is a platform that I suggest everyone who is listening right now, producers, music lovers, music passionate, to have a check. And first of all, maybe the most important one, to try using it.
Yeah, I mean, we live and die by the artist experience. If we're not able to help artists accelerate their career and find success with labels and the platform, then the whole thing, falls apart pretty quickly. So for us, we were building it with an artist first approach in mind, but I think what's really cool about LabelRadar is that by solving problems for the kind of label side of things, it's very synergistic in that we help labels, which in turn means that we provide a better route for artists, because the easier it is for labels to use our platform, the easier it is for artists to get discovered and find success too.
So talking about the success of an artist, for example, LabelRadar has been around for over 4 years, right? So do you have an example of a case success stories?
I mean, I have many. I could talk about this for hours. This is my favorite thing to talk about.
If you could choose like I don't know, the biggest one, or the one that you we can say love the most, or you're more proud of.
Yeah, I think it might make sense to do two, just because one would be like one of the first substantial ones, and then I can just talk in more general terms about other ones. But there was very early on, there was this contest that we did, and I'll talk about contests later on, I'm sure. But basically, it was called Track and Build, and it was a collaboration between LabelRadar, Jägermeister, No Copyright Sounds, and Coven. And basically it was centered around helping a video game find an amazing soundtrack. So we had partnered with this video game called Beat Hazard 2, which has I think like 9 out of 10 on Steam, and has done really well in its own right. And we basically were searching for tracks for their soundtrack that would then get synchronized into the game. And there were about 800 submissions that came through, and the winner would be signed to NCS, and they would collaborate with Coven. And I remember this submission from an artist called Roy at the time. And I remember thinking, Roy is a terrible name for an artist alias, because it's so hard to get any kind of SEO benefits from it. You know, if someone was trying to search for you, they would really struggle to actually find you. So as an emerging artist, you've made life very difficult for yourself. But yeah, he won the contest with this amazing track that if you want to check out, it's called Roy Knox and Coven, obviously, and the track is called About Me. And it went on to do, you know, millions of streams, and it was very successful in helping drive initial user sessions for Beat Hazard 2 when the game launched. So they were really happy. And Roy himself, the reason why I love this is he then went on to be the breakthrough artist of 2019 on NCS. And, you know, he currently has about 350,000 monthly listeners, hundreds of millions of plays across his releases. And, you know, he has a full-time career out of this now. And, you know, being able to connect the dots between talent like him, who are completely under the radar, and opportunities like that can really accelerate their career, you know, that is just everything that we wanted to do when we were just sitting there with LabelRadar as an idea in our heads. Like, wouldn't it be great if we could do that? And we have now been able to do that, not just for Roy, but for countless other artists. You know, there's thousands of success stories on our website that you can check out if you ever want to have a little read through. It's one of my favorite things we've done is collect those success stories. So yeah, Roy is a great example, and he's then rebranded to Roy Knox, so obviously a bit more brandable and discoverable. And yeah, that's just one of the first examples of success that we were able to highlight. Then there was another guy called Scores who submitted to Armada and caught the attention of Armin van Buuren himself. You know, signed his debut track to Armind, which now has, I think, about 2.1 million streams. Admittedly, I'm responsible for a lot of those streams because I love the track. But yeah, he's making a full-time living from his music, has a DJ residency, again, sitting around 350,000 monthly listeners. And, you know, as a platform, our key territories are USA, UK, Germany. I think Italy's up there as well. But these examples are artists from Israel and Brazil. So it really does show that we are on our way to achieving this goal of democratizing access to key decision makers, no matter where you are in the world.
Extremely inspirational.
Exactly. Now we would like to move on with another question, but from your other side of work. And we would like to ask you, because as a director of business development in Beatport, we would like to understand if, I don't know, identifying and developing new business model or strategies that are really, really growing faster at this nowadays. With all this potential, it's easier or harder for you try to use these new kind of technologies that are now rising in 2022?
Sure, yeah, that's a really good question. I would say at its core, it's a fundamentally exciting time. You know, there are always new music technology projects emerging, and even as someone who feels like they have their finger on the pulse of a lot of that world, you know, there are often projects that explode from seemingly nowhere and offer new possibilities. And what's great about wearing the Beatport hat after, you know, years of wearing the LabelRadar hat is that it's almost impossible to come across a music tech business that wouldn't be relevant, or we wouldn't be relevant for in some capacity, right? You know, there's a lot of interesting conversations to be had. So essentially where I'm at with it is that the trick is to identify where these opportunities are that are mutual value, where we have an easy mutual win-win for one of these businesses or one of these technologies. And, you know, those mutual win-wins where the incentives are aligned will always lead to the most effective partnerships. So it's just a case of identifying those and pursuing those first, because I guess the downside of having all these emerging technologies and, you know, constant demands on our attention is that there's a lot of what we can refer to as golden apples, where it's things that seem really exciting and shiny, but practically speaking, you know, might not be the best things to be investing time in for either side, right? So yeah, I think pursuing those mutual value win-wins is where it's at, and there's, you know, a lot more opportunities and possibilities to discover those right now with the way the music tech world is developing.
Thanks.
In fact, let me keep of these technologies topic just for a while.
Yep.
Just to ask you, considering your work, so your role in the music beats, what are the technologies that for you has made a difference?
Sure, yeah. I mean, LabelRadar in itself was a fully remote project. So I met Derek and Juan, the two of the other co-founders, in person one time in 2017 at ADE. Great year for ADE. Then we didn't meet again until literally a couple of weeks ago. I met Derek again in person for the second time ever. So that in itself, we have been very reliant on a lot of technologies. So at its base level, things like Google Hangouts and Slack, just for pure communication, right? Of, you know, Derek was over in Boston, I was in the UK, Juan was in Argentina, you know, we were all spread out across the world in all different time zones. And I think if we go back, you know, not even that far, not even that long ago, being able to run a project like that from inception through to execution and eventual acquisition just wouldn't have been possible, or would have been a lot more difficult at the very least, or a lot more expensive to, you know, fly out and have to do certain things in person. But yeah, Slack would be one of the main tools that we've been relying on in technologies. Then things like Trello for project management. So being able to keep track of everything and stay aligned when we're not in the same office space every day, which, you know, now that we've had lockdown and pandemic, I think everyone's a lot more attuned to. But, you know, back when we were starting out, you know, remote working was very different to what it is today. Then tools like Canva for design, where, you know, I'm not trained in design, but no one on our team was trained in design. But as a startup, you have to be able to move quickly and you have to be able to wear different hats. So for me, a tool like Canva was amazing because it enabled me to take on that role without formal training or having to invest a lot in, for example, hiring someone that we could bring in from like an Upwork, although we did use Upwork actually as a tool for other specific needs, whether it was like SEO type of things and that side of things, where, you know, it's a bit harder to plug that skills gap without hiring directly. What else? HubSpot we use for our CRM and sequencing and things like that. So yeah, from a technologies perspective, there are a lot of tools I can think of that, you know, without would have made the journey almost impossible, and we were very reliant on. So yeah, and then there's more fun stuff as well. Like over time, we started using a platform called Kumo Space, where we would have our weekly team meeting in there, where instead of it just being a Google Hangout, you have like your little avatar window. And so you have a video window, but you're in a kind of 2D world that, you know, you can deck out to look like an office space, a beach, have games in it, you know, whatever you want to use that space for. And it just helped take the edge off just consistently being in Google Hangouts, for example.
Great. So we talked about the present and the past of LabelRadar. So the next question is about future. Will the platform undergo further evolutions? And if so, if you can say that, in which direction, if it's not a secret?
Sure, yeah, I mean, absolutely. We are not done evolving. Oh, the light's just gone off. Bear with me. Let's go turn it on again.
Turn on the lights.
Yeah, exactly. There's Fred again promoting his new single. No, it's yeah, we're not done evolving. You know, we wouldn't want to change drastically from where we're at in terms of like the model or different things like that, but we certainly haven't reached our Charizard final form yet, right? We've still got a way to go. So without talking too much about specifics, one of the main reasons we did the deal with Beatport was that our visions were aligned. So, you know, we know where we want to take the platform to really deliver on this vision of a democratized music industry, you know, that's making life better for artists and labels alike. So, you know, now it's more a case of attacking our roadmap to get there quicker than we would have done without Beatport, for example. And I guess one thing I can share is that, you know, it's a fair way off, but we are looking forward to enhancing the fan element of the platform. And, you know, we've always felt that whilst we set out to solve headaches between the artists and the record labels and promoters as well, we also always felt that fans were this kind of under-recognized, unsung heroes of the music industry, and we wanted to be one of the places that they can receive more recognition and ultimately rewards for the kinds of actions that they're doing every day anyway. So yeah, there's you know, fans are already part of LabelRadar, but you know, hopefully in the future, that's something we can continue to build on as well.
And also in the same direction of thoughts that we just made, we would like to understand how you think the current social platforms are changing the user perceptions of music. Because LabelRadar, it's a platform for artists, promoters, or creators.
Yeah, and that in itself is a bit tricky in that, you know, we could sit here and start talking about algorithms and how Facebook and Instagram are really tough platforms to communicate with your audience, you know, which is why anyone watching this as an artist should be thinking about how they can control that relationship with their fans, right? Whether that's through Discord, which I think is proving very popular right now. You know, I think that's one whole conversation, but I think in terms of perception of music, there might be new platforms like TikTok who are dominating the way that music is being discovered, but the core of what they do is still a universal truth of music discovery that hasn't changed for a long time, which is that it's way more effective for a consumer to discover your music when it is placed within a piece of video content that enhances the natural vibe of that music. For example, a bass track that is used as a soundtrack to a gaming montage or to a snowboard video. It will naturally enhance the adrenaline element of that track and make it hit harder, which helps it resonate better with the listener. And, you know, we've seen historically, you know, music promotion channels and places like that, blogs, all of these kind of things are great at connecting you with a relevant audience. But for wider discovery, having your music used in relevant content is really key to that explosive growth. And it's kind of a more powerful connection that's formed when the consumer feels like they're the one discovering your music rather than having it marketed to them necessarily. And I think that TikTok is obviously fantastic at doing that, but the life cycle of a piece of music is now more challenging to sustain, because the way social platforms work is that they surface so much music so quickly. You know, you can be flavor of the, it's not even flavor of the month, right? It's flavor of the day, flavor of the week. And that's where I think, you know, labels and music management firms are really earning their stripes now, is navigating those waters and ensuring that if a release does find that spark, then they have the kind of campaign behind it to carry that spark into a full bonfire. You know, and LabelRadar can be part of that, where, you know, Move Your Body is a good example recently, where that was just smashing it in the DJ side of things, and it proved very popular on TikTok as well. But again, there's only so many times that people are going to want to hear that same drop. And it becomes predictable, right? And it becomes a bit stale. So especially when there's so much content being consumed as well, right? People come across it more often. So what we've done there is we've partnered with them and helped them do a remix contest and source remixes of that release, so that then there's still an appetite for it and still a demand for it, but they can keep the song relevant, but in a different way. And I guess underlying all of this, you could say that it's made music slightly more disposable, but I think that's also a consequence of how much more music there is now and how much more accessible it is to make music in the first place now versus 20 years ago, for example.
In fact, you know, time is quite freaking running at the moment. I wanted to ask you, this is, I think, one of the most important questions, is that if you're talking right now to an artist who is facing for the first time LabelRadar, how would you advise to start? Do you have any suggestions for them?
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier on, artists are expected to do so many things, right? It's not just about making great music. They're expected to be, you know, a competent marketeer, you know, all these additional things. And I think what you should do is what I call building your wolf pack. And essentially what that means is building a team around yourself. But when people tell artists to build a team around themselves, you know, I think artists think, okay, I need to get a manager, I need to get a booking agent. And it's sure, those are good things, but or in theory, they're good things. You know, there's a lot of pitfalls in there too, but it's actually way simpler than that. What I'm saying is build your wolf pack of other artists, build a support network, and find those people who can help plug certain skills gaps that you have. So it doesn't have to be done as tactically as that. It can just simply mean find other artists and you can support each other and just at a basic level, give each other feedback on tracks and, you know, share learnings and stuff like that. Because being an artist can be a very isolating, solitary experience, and it's so much more rewarding to have people around you, you know, other artists that are going through similar things and similar struggles. So if you can then have within that group artists who some of them might be better at the marketing side of things than you are, and they can help with the lift on there. One of them might be really good at mixing and mastering. You might be better at chord progressions and music theory. You know, there's so many elements that go into being an artist that if you can find other skill sets within your wolf pack, and as I said, it doesn't have to be tactical like that. You don't have to like go out and be like, you know, I'm going to be friends with this person, but not this person. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Hopefully it happens organically, but definitely look at how you can create that kind of network around yourself where it's not just people who have a vested business interest in you. It's kind of that kind of social network side of things as well.
In 2022, you have yet to deal with all these stuff, all these things, and I'm pretty sure this has been an extremely source of inspiration for everyone who's listening to us. That I recommend once again to check LabelRadar.com to start their musical career. You know, this has been, for my personal point of view, an extremely interesting chat. So I can only say, I think on behalf of everyone of us as youBEAT, a huge grazie, first of all.
Definitely also, especially for your, I don't know, philosophy you put at the beginning of this journey that bring you now in this new big family of Beatport.
Guys, do you have any more questions?
Yeah. We have just one, the last one. Following this acquisition by Beatport, can we expect, I don't know, some new kind of membership or promotion through, I don't know, between Beatportal, for example, and LabelRadar?
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, we are always looking at ways we can help shine spotlights on these amazing talents finding success in the platform. These are always stories that we will want to tell. And now with Beatport, we have better opportunities and resources to be able to do that. We're not looking to reinvent the wheel or anything like that, but we recognize that LabelRadar has room to evolve into, and we're just really excited to continue accelerating towards that vision of the democratized access to decision makers. It's simple, really. We just want to help as many artists and labels along the way as possible. So yeah.
This is it.
Thanks for this answer, but just for a quick answer, if you main headaches you faced in your journey,
struggles,
problems.
Sure. Yeah.
Just in a minute, I think, because I think the chat will be over in 2 minutes. I think I'm not sure, but
yeah, I can be quick with it. Basically, we initially had the pushback on the 20-second clip and the perception from artists that was detrimental and a negative. But actually, what they didn't realize was that when they send their track over email, whether it's a SoundCloud file, a SoundCloud link, or a downloadable file, the A&R who receives that is not listening from the very beginning. They are clicking to 2 or 3 random points in that track, listening for a couple of seconds at each point, and that is it. Because they have such a volume to get through. That's how trained their ears are. They can hear within that time period what they need to hear. And so we needed to help artists understand that actually what we've done is given them back control over that first impression, where they dictate what part of their track the decision maker will hear. And within 5 to 10 seconds, that decision maker knows, is it mixed and mastered well? Is it the style of music they're looking for? But fundamentally, it comes down to, has it excited them? Has it, hit them in their chest, where it's like, yeah, this is worth my time. This could be exciting for us. This is interesting. And that's what it all comes down to on the platform, is making that moment as accessible as possible for both for the labels, but in turn to make success possible for the artists. So yeah, that was an early challenge. And then along with that came managing the artist expectation of, when will I get listened to? We help them find, when they've been heard, whether it was of interest or not. But the time frame expectations on that vary greatly from artist to artist. Some of them are like, I submitted 24 hours ago and I haven't heard anything yet. And we have the 30-day listen guarantee on the platform to help kind of frame that expectation of, it should get listened to within this kind of time period. But A&Rs have their own schedules. They're very busy people, and sometimes they're away on holiday, or there's all kinds of things that can feed into what time frame people hear back on. So yeah, that was kind of another fun element. But I think the main thing I've always wanted to help artists understand is that just getting a rejection isn't an we've gone dark again. Sorry, 1 second.
It's time for Fred again.
Fred again.
Again.
It's Fred again. So yeah, so just helping artists understand that when you get a rejection, it doesn't mean that your track is bad. It's such a kind of subjective thing when you send your music to a label, whether it's going to get picked up or not. You know, it comes down to their personal taste, their mood at the time, the kind of other artists that they're releasing. You know, there's so many different factors that come into play there, that just because you get a no from that label doesn't mean it's a bad track. And I think a lot of artists, unfortunately, take it very personally and take it to mean that, you know, it's a very bad moment. But actually, it's just it could be like a just not quite. And I think that that's the thing, is they don't know whether it's a hard no or if it's a not quite. And that's where we try and add a bit more context with having labels provide advanced feedback and things like that. But ultimately, we're trying to just help make the whole process streamlined, so that, okay, you got a no from that label, but here are the other labels who would no doubt love to hear your track, and maybe there's a yes waiting for you in there as well.
Yeah, in fact, I was thinking about, for example, when we find an artist who has produced or sung or whatever a track that doesn't fit our tastes personally, but we recognize that a track is well produced, is maybe good for another kind of promotion. We anyway, even if we give a feedback like, oh, we're not interested, we anyway specify, we underline that, man, you're doing great, you're doing good. This is not our personal tastes, and we support him and encourage him or her to challenge him. We kind of challenge him or her to do something more, something different. You know, we are trying not to give bad feedbacks in this sense. And on the other side, when we find a new a track that fits our tastes, our personal tastes, our philosophy, as promoter, we are the first persons, we are the first people who mark him as a real promotion. Like right now, a real promotion right now, and start a chart that is I don't know how many guys we have reached. I think hundreds and hundreds of guys, of people that we support now through our channels, our socials,
our Spotify playlist, YouTube channel.
Spotify,
yeah,
because I record label. We are just promoters.
Obviously,
support.
Obviously, we receive through emails a lot of submission by the biggest record label, but they already have a great push from themselves, from other channels. Why these kind of young producers that are in their chamber alone are trying to do their best, and we are trying to help also them to
support them, not to give up.
Yeah.
We feel your idea, and we are trying to do something like yours and trying to bring it somewhere. We don't know where at the moment,
don't know how.
but we will try.
Yeah, really into it.
I mean, this is it. You know, we can build the tool, but without people using it like you know, it doesn't do anything. So thank you for being a user and for giving these artists the support that they need.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it because we are, as I told you, we are music passionate, first of all. Then we are promoters. So this is just what we live for.
Yeah.
We have to thank you for making it. We have to thank you. So
thanks so much to be with us.
Grazie.
No,
thank you very much for
being
being
absolute pleasure talking to you guys. And again, thank you for your trusting LabelRadar and for using it, and looking forward to rolling out new features to make your lives even better.
Thank you very much. Will you be at ADE this year?
Absolutely, yeah.
Probably we will meet there if you agree.
We will find the time to meet you there.
We will have to grab some drinks together in person.
For sure.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be really great.
For now, for all the people who's watching us, thanks to take a coffee with us, and see you soon for another episode of the youBEAT Café.